And there we are. And on we go with live. Guess there's a little delay because I was trying to watch it on my phone. I wonder how much the delay there really is. But there appears to be a second or two delay. I'm here, and Tony is. He says, "Hey everyone." It's just the two, well, three of us because David's here. So okay, the three of us. So now it can be when you say hi Wayne, and Wayne says hi Tony, and then Robert says hello, and now everybody starts joining in. Everybody was sitting there just waiting for it. Yeah, but there's a little delay I noticed today. So cool today, 56 degrees, partly cloudy. Supposed to get some more rain in while we'll be talking. So, and then a little more rain later tonight. Nothing like Flag though, which feels like 7 degrees, but it's only a mild 27 up there. They're getting a few more inches of snow, so delay, all good. Yeah, well, but I'm trying to get used to things about the intro and segue in because I'm trying to watch this all. I probably need an earpiece just to listen to it and hear how the live goes to make the segue kind of bump in the best. I'm looking forward to tomorrow. First one. Well, Robert, I'm waiting to hear from Bob Shoes on that. We have a little bit of a problem I won't discuss, but we may be putting out a video later explaining it. But I'm looking forward to tomorrow if tomorrow happens. So let me just put it that way. I haven't heard, but there was a problem. So, but the trophies are in, the plaques are in, everything's ready to go on my end. So everything on my end is ready to go. I'm prepared. The Ides of March happens once a year on March 15th, regardless. And there it is. And so, but yeah, we're having to wait and see what happens with a few other things in the mix. Have you ever seen any tarantulas or Gila monsters in them? I've seen tarantulas and Gila monsters everywhere. I live in Arizona. Yeah, Randy Wright and I ran into one big old boy coming down the trail. Hello, Dexter. We ran into one on the trail. He did not want to give up the trail, and there was no place to walk around him. But no, I've run into plenty of Gila monsters. Usually, a certain time of year you'll run into them. You'll just go, oh, it's that time of year for them. There used to be one living under the board house at the Quarter Circle U. I remember we were filming. He came out a few times. We caught him kind of scampering from one place to the other. Tarantula is much more plentiful, and there's a time of year they're just everywhere. So they come out to do their whatever breeding. We had one on set. They had one, and they would put them on rocks, and we would walk by him, and then they'd put him in a little container and move him somewhere. He got released finally, but he basically was the same tarantula throughout the show. I don't know what his scale pay was, but they're pretty common. You see a lot of stuff out there. Scorpions, because we had the scorpion. I don't remember if that was on camera or on film. It was crawling next to Magnus, and I was sitting there and telling him, "Don't move, dude." But it was a bark scorpion over by that the booby trap mine thing. I remember that. Scorpions. You run into pretty much the stuff. It's kind of the. It's like rattlesnakes and everything else. If you're out, you're going to just run into them because it's just part of what it is. So, but Gila monsters are less common to see. But then I would say tarantulas. But tarantulas are pretty common. You see those on the road. They'll be crossing dirt roads and stuff. We're going to bring a few friends to keep posted. I'll check it tomorrow. Thanks for the heads up. Yeah, it's just an awkward thing. I didn't find out till just before noon. I was hoping for everything to be done noon, and then noon I would send out texts and kind of an update. And I have no update. So if we do go into a suspended black screen for a minute, it may be, or the intro or something plays again, it might be because I'm answering the phone to find out myself. Because I myself am in not as much dark as the rest of you, but I'm in the dark of what's exactly happening currently. My friend Doug from Whitman is out here for the weekend. See you all at the Mammoth. What's up? Well, that's what we're waiting to see. Keep posted. We will post on the Facebook pages and YouTube if there's some, there's something going on. And like I said, my end plaques are here. They're sitting. They're all ready to go. I have everything together ready. I was planning to get it out there early because there was a couple things we had to do that we will talk about if we're able to tomorrow. But some life intervenes, and when life intervenes, then I was on and off the phone, and a couple people know what's going on. But yeah, waiting to see what's going on. So Gila are mating this month. The washes, yeah, and I think they just different times a year, but I've run into them all through the winters. It's just generally they're pretty isolated, but the one we ran into down in Barks Canyon, and he had the trail and he did not want to give it up, and we were kind of like, dude, man, come on, just get out of the way. May miss another episode. Do you think Bob Garman, not Garland, found a cache from the LDM? No, I don't think Garman. He was hunting silver. He did a lot of interviews and stuff, and a lot of people knew him. Tom Collenborn knew him pretty well, and he talked with a number of people. Greg Davis, that was one of his big regrets, that Bob Garman really liked him and really wanted to sit down and do interviews with him before he died, and Greg didn't know that. He didn't know that Garman took to him, and he missed out on that opportunity. Do you think Bob Corman found a cache near the pit mine area? No, I don't know if he ever went out to the pit mine. He might have with Tom early on when Tom went out there, because Tom was out there once or twice early on. But no, I don't know. I'd have to ask Bob, and I don't know if Bob would remember. But I don't remember seeing any photographs or anything mentioned of Bob Corbin as far as the pit mine, the Silver Chief. We'll just call it the Silver Chief. That's what it is. It's on the maps, and it's called the Silver Chief, so you might as well call it the Silver Chief. Greetings, Wayne Gilgold Prospecting from San Antonio, Texas, where every day is a golden day. What happened last Friday? I was only one in containment. Had a screen problem. Did I have a problem last week? Yeah, I don't remember anything with a problem. It could have been we had trolls, so I could have clicked the wrong button, but it shouldn't have been you because I thought I double-checked and everything was fine. So that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's very odd. I apologize if it was my fault, but I don't remember. I remember just seeing the trolls that we had, which we had 2 or 3, and we bumped those. They show up. They'll be here within the next 15, 20 minutes for a few minutes. They might dissipate once they realize they're not getting much out there anymore. But yeah, that could have been it, where I basically removed the comment, and then there's another little button I push, and if I could have accidentally got you, so you might have been gotten by me. Lacey says hi to everyone. Well, hi, Lacey. Are you in timeout and containment? Not allowed to be. So, but yeah, so for everybody that's joined us now, the Treasure Hunt of the Year Awards, no idea what's happening with it right now. We will post to YouTube, and we will post to Facebook and share whatever's happening. The plaques have been ordered. They've been picked up. I have them right now. The little, I don't know what you call it, the pamphlet we hand out, that's done. Everything on my end was set, and have no idea because things kind of got in the air. So I'm just waiting to hear like everyone else. I just simply know that there's a problem. So, and I don't know if it's a reschedule problem or what's going on. So, and I was supposed to get a phone call. I asked that I be contacted or this be straightened out by noon so I could get the word out, text and Facebook post, and then touch it here and get the word out to everybody. But there's a few screws loose and problems and all that too. So we will see what happens. Hopefully this is just a little bit of drama and a funny little story. That's what I'm hoping. So, hope the mic sounds good. I tried to play with it today. I don't think I did anything in the end to adjust it, but I was playing with the mixer and stuff to see what I could do, because I get too much of the room, and I know what I sound like and what I kind of sound like sitting here and what I sound like when I'm recording any vocals or other things, and I get a much deeper, more resonant tone, and it's not coming across. I'm thinking about replacing the mic because of that. Here's something neat for everyone. Now, last year, let me make sure I get the right one. Trevor got me this, Ted DeGrazia, a biographical sketch. And it was pretty cool, and it's a signed DeGrazia, signed in 1980. It came out in 1979. And I ran into another one, and I picked it up, but it was the second printing. And it's signed by DeGrazia in 1968, which is really cool. The funny thing is, they're basically the same book, but they do have different photographs and different things in them. So it was like, I don't know if each printing they redid them or changed them. I don't know if anybody has any of these, but yeah, I got 2 of them so far. And I'm kind of like interested in what the deal is. That do I need to keep collecting them? Have one for each year. So I don't know. I think they came out in 66 or 67 is the first year I think they would have come out. When did the Apaches massacre the Peralta prospectors? You pick a date, because it was probably, most people stand with it had to happen in the 1850s. It could have been 1840s, 50s. It would have been kind of during a transitional period. You have to think before the Gadsden Purchase, it had to happen at a certain period of time. And that you would think whoever the survivors were, there was someone surviving, so it would be generational, which would be within 25 years when Waltz. So that is a timeline that's kind of fluid, because everyone's opinion becomes part of the timeline. If you read it in a book, I expect an exact date. That's someone just basically hypothetically putting a date onto it. So I don't really know. I would particularly say somewhere in the 1850s, because by the but the only problem I have with that is I believe there was a couple different parties back in the mountains looking at the minerals and stuff from the Prescott area and other areas. So it's, they would have had to have been out of there a while. So it's a tricky question. I don't think anybody's ever really answered it fully, because they can't, because no one gives you much of a date. The difference between today, one of us today, and it's tough because we have a lot more knowledge, but you sit down and you'd say, well, what would I ask Jacob Waltz? What would I ask so-and-so? There was people who were from the Peralta family still around during that time period. You reached out to them. How much more information would have you gotten closer to the sources? And it would have been very different, but no one thought of that. People were looking for the mine and the caches at the camp. They weren't looking for the history of the mine. So, 3 red hills at Hewitt Canyon at Bias Butte. Yeah, there are. Okay, 3. Yeah, there's 3 red hills in a number of places in the Superstitions. There's some in Fish Creek. There's some up in LaBarge. Yeah. So, do you think the DeGrazia books are sold in the Arizona section of the used bookstores or somewhere else? All over the place. I have a particular place I go, and they're one of the few places that does pick up a bit of DeGrazia stuff. He was very popular in Arizona. But yeah, I have a nice little DeGrazia section, and I have several prints and stuff. I've always been a fan of DeGrazia's. I kind of like his quirkiness. And I always suggest anybody who wants a really great trip, go down to the museum, the Gallery of the Sun down in Tucson. That is an awesome place. And when you realize he was just piece by piece putting that together, doing so much of the work himself, it's really, really cool. So, but he did have a museum in the Superstitions. He did build one there and had one there. He was very connected to the Superstitions. He had a film about it. He had the book about it. He spent a lot of time, and yeah. So Any luck or clues you found on those paintings? Now that the road's open, we're waiting for things to quell down, and we want to go back out and follow up on some of the stuff because we thought we were very, very, very close. Do Bob's paintings ever come up for sale? Who are Bob's paintings? Bob Painting. Ola Wayne. Hey, Dallas. How you doing? Are you meaning DeGrazia? DeGrazia didn't sell a lot of his stuff. It's usually prints. There is some original DeGrazia works. One of the ones I passed up, I was really stupid. We were up in Flagstaff, and there was like a picnic table, a round picnic table, wood picnic table. And Trevor kind of caught it out of the corner of his eye and went over, and we looked at it. And Ted had painted it. And just the top of it. And it was like enormous. It was probably, God, it had to weigh probably 60, 70 pounds. Just the top. And it was solid, thick wood. And we looked at it, and I can't remember what they wanted for it, like $100. And I was like, man, and I should have bought it right there and then, because I was like, I don't know, $100, but yeah. And it's obviously DeGrazia, but so cool. But then I was trying to think, what do I do with it? Because my life has piles of things it seemed like a good idea. Right now I have an arch, not an arch sign, but a sign for like if you're going into a ranch. It's a metal, someone welded it up, and it says High Lonesome. It's a very nice sign. It's probably 8, 10 feet, 12 feet long, and all this for, at the entryway of the driveway of your ranch. And I thought it was a sweet deal, and I got it real cheap. And it's still sitting in my garage because I don't know what to do with it exactly. That was what I figured it would be. It would be one of those silly, stupid things I would purchase. And thank you, Jax, for bringing some sunlight to us all. But yeah, it's... I passed on it and decided, well, the next time I go up, I made up my mind because I kept kicking myself, thinking I should have just bought it. Maybe it was like 140, and I was like, man, if it gets down to 100, maybe I'll offer him 100 and get it. And I went back up, and it was gone. And I should have picked it up. Everyone in my family was like, yeah, you should have just bought it. But I didn't know what to do with it. It was going to be enormous, And it's like, where do I stick it on the wall, and how do I do this and all this? But it was very, very cool. And it was easily, like I said, you looked at it and you realize it's DeGrazia through and through. I'm off tonight. Wayne, sorry. Oh, okay, about the Ted. Yeah, Ted DeGrazia, there's original stuff by him, but he did a lot of quirky stuff. His big thing, and what really was smart by him, is he licensed stuff. So the ornaments, the greeting cards, the little plates, he just kept licensing his stuff to be done on other things. And that was his genius, was he didn't have to sell paintings. And that was kind of the downfall, because the paintings were worth a ton of money. And his original artwork was worth probably, easily millions and millions. But he was making all his money off the reprinting of everything and then keeping his licensing and his rights. So genius business move on his part. Reproducing stuff and all that, but not the originals would go on display and stuff. But very few people got original, friends did, and some other people, and there are some circulating, but they're harder to find, the real true originals. Sometimes you get these really good prints that it's hard to tell. But yes, I've only run into one real authentic original DeGrazia, and the most popular ones are obviously still held by the Gallery of the Sun. So there you go. So you can look, but be very, very careful, because he made so many versions of the same thing to get them out there. But you can sometimes find the handmade, handcrafted, like little pots or plates or things that he hand did, that he sold those more often than the paintings. If the Apaches covered the original mines, was Waltz and Weiser helping the Peraltas on a new mine? No, they said they went to the one mine, and it just happened to be the one that was open, is what they're saying. Now, again, it comes to the Julian Reinhardt piece, which precedes everything. Everyone wrote off of that, so you have to look at it from the perspective of Okay, that information is probably correct. How much of it is exact to what was being said? Jim Bark probably made notes. He wrote things down as far as the questions he asked them. I think he was pretty good about keeping track of stuff, which is let's see, what is this? Any idea what the EJEG is on the Degrassi 18 making the Waller or Drew? Absolutely, I know exactly what that is. So that was one of the things I figured out real early on, Dallas. I don't know if I'll even tell you, but yes. I spent a lot of time with that stuff, and I realized when I started looking at things and other things, because if you ever get any of his manuscripts, he liked to do ciphers and all kinds of stuff. And I realized he's so smart that he does things two different ways. And it took me a long time, but I was able to figure out most everything on the map. It's not an exact map, let me put it that way. It's not going to put you at like ground zero. But there was a lot of information there. And it was just sitting there looking at it and doing what most people do, breaking my mind trying to figure it out. And then one day I just looked at it and then I realized, oh my God. And then I just literally had to prove to myself, was it that easy? And I was that stupid. It took me that long. And then I figured, yeah, wow. So, but each map is coded differently. And Frank and I were really surprised sometimes at how easy it should have been. But we have a tendency to make things more complex. And I think that's why he kept drawing maps, because there's, 4 maps? And then there's some we have, actually very fortunate, another Dutch hunter shared with Frank and myself a couple hand-drawn ones that Bob did before he died of the area and let us know that where we were right on track. And so I think we have a total of, with the 4 that most people have, well, not most people, but 4 that are known, there was 2 more that we got, so that was 6. And one of those 2 was just before he passed away. It was from the family. And we were like, wow, it all does fit. And that was the big shame with Fish Creek Hill, was when it went out. You know, hey, Dallas, you can go with us. Go with me and Frank, because Frank sometimes can be annoying out there. But no, it's more of, we just learned to get out there and then just keep looking at the things that we knew and keep letting you got to just clear your head and then let it come to you, because it's sometimes, like I said, obvious. And then you're surprised at how obvious it, so. But I'm not going to tell you not here. Another beer for Bob Ward. Bob drank whiskey. Bob didn't, I don't know how much beer Bob drank. I know he liked his bottles of whiskey, because I don't remember a lot of beer bottles around the cabin. When will you take Frank and the team out and adventure just like old times? Well, DeLille lives in Northern California. He used to live in Nevada. Well, he lives on the border area there. Magnuson lives in Idaho. Woody lives in Dewey. Frank's in Mesa. And so it's a long drive just to pick them up. It wears me out just to get them out. It is Pizza Friday for a change. Yes, it is Pizza Friday. It hasn't been Pizza Friday for a while. But it is Pizza Friday today. The chance of getting the 5 of us together, it has not happened since we were in California together doing some pickups. So that was 2 or 3 weeks before the show was released, maybe 4 weeks. That was the only last time all 5 of us were together. We had no idea because everything was pushing to season 2, and I was in the talks with A&E and History, and then Frank was a little involved, but it was mainly through with me. So I was not thinking much of it. Just, I would say, hey, boys, be prepared. Hey, boys, and kind of give them a heads up of what I was getting, because they were telling me, I remember one point, we're going to go into New York. We're going to deliver this. And then that got rescheduled. But yeah, in the timeline, I was passing word along to them. Okay, this is going in. We should hear by Friday. This should happen. Then the last word I got, which was probably in June, early June, was it could be anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks before we green light. So it's going to be a matter of pulling everything together, starting to look at what we have and get back out. So we're going to have to film in the summer again. So I started planning and then told the guys it could be that much of a quick of a turnaround. Now here's the funny thing. Magnuson and DeLille still hadn't been paid fully. I don't think I had either. So there was still money out there they owed us. And there was a lot going on, a lot of drama. And that's where it was somewhere in there with the negotiations between the production company and History Channel and a bunch of other things. And History Channel at that time, if you look back, is when they decided to change out a lot of people. And it kind of all got hung up in the same time period. A couple of our champions, people that stood up for us for the show, left History Channel and go elsewhere. And I got contacted by one of them because they wanted to see about, before everything from History Channel unraveled later, they were trying to convince me to go over and meet with them somewhere else about taking something particularly. There's Trevor. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Hello, everybody.
What are you doing? That's my phone. Hello? Okay, well, there went my phone. Must have been a code they needed off the phone. Anyways, so in short, we had no idea. We were completely set. We were under, was it 12? 8 1-year contracts, 12 1-year contracts, something like that. Oh, thank you.
I needed a code.
Needed a code. That's what I kind of figured.
Yeah.
When you patted me on the shoulder, it went boom on the mic. Do it again. No, didn't do it that time. All right. Anyways, how are you? Okay, so this is not the time or place for it, but how did Grace do?
I can't talk about it.
Okay, can't talk about it. So, all right. Well, I don't think she watches this, and I hope she did well. But, okay. So, anyways, we did not expect not to ever see each other in the same place. Now, me, DeLille, Woody, and Frank were at the rendezvous together, so Magnuson was missing, but that's as close as we ever got. So, yes, the 5 of us. Magnuson visited DeLille once for a day or two, and other than that, none of us have seen Magnuson. He's pretty much, I wouldn't say ghosted us, but he became like a phantom stranger, and we didn't really talk or hear much from him. Still to this day, once in a while he pops up, but it was pretty much me, Frank, Woody, and DeLille for a while, and then Ed Riley says, "Hey, Trev, would you and Trevor go out and stay a few days in the Superstition and film a camping trip?" We've talked about that. So, about getting all the batteries and stuff. We got the solar charger now. Mm-hmm. We could do a little bit. But yeah, we've talked about it. Frank says we should do hikes. Not with Frank. Frank did not want to be part of the hike, but we should do things and film and do stuff. So, that was something that Frank thought we should do, kind of more. And I thought it'd be kind of fun to do a tutorial or some places. And we did that trip. We went, and you see bits and pieces of it. The one where I talk about the prickly pears, and the first time we talked about the Black Legion, and I'm in Brush Corral. That was a trip Trevor and I made, and we filmed. We were going to go up and to Blacktop and then stay at Kabbalah's camp, and then we were going to come back out. And that was the whole rhyme, reason, purpose of that. And for whatever reason, I think it got really cold. And it was like, we suddenly realized it was not going to work. And he was pretty young. So we started hoofing it out. Ended up building a fire in Garden Valley because it got so cool we needed to warm it up. Take Sal, too. No, I'm not going to take Sal. So, I'm not going to take Salvador. No, but take Trevor and kind of... if it wasn't so much the equipment and everything else you had to carry, yeah, I'd like to do it solo. That would be a cool one too, like the guys do. But then some of that stuff's fake too. Probably just do best to do it with Trevor and stuff. I think we could do a pretty cool job and do some desert crafting while we're out there. But yeah, there's a lot of B-roll of stuff we do. I'm trying to think if there's much of anything overnight. The other problem is once the sun goes down, you don't really film much. You're just tired and it's dark. Any more visits to that cross in the back of the cave? No, I have no interest of really going back there at this time. I thought about it. I don't know. It's a long way to hike in through, go back to there to hike, and then to take the boat cost a couple $100. So I don't know. It's that never really was my thing. That was definitely History Channel, the production company, and if the other guys, it obviously means a lot to Dalil. To me, it was never a thing for me, which I've tried to explain to people is like the only person who went up in there and all that was and did all that was Dalil. I'm never think about it. The more you watch this, I'm never the big. I'm kind of always the skeptic on the Jesuit stuff and all. So that whole thing. I mean, the only thing I saw from that cave, to be honest with you, was what Dalil had, and I saw very little film and just a few still photos, and then they took everything. Most all that footage and stuff is on a little thing in somewhere wherever they keep all the stuff at History Channel. And I asked for that stuff when we were putting together Sunsets. I asked for a bunch of material because they had a lot of interview footage of Tom Collenborn and Clay Wurst and some other stuff, and I said, since you're not going to use it, we're not doing anything, it's been a while, could I have some of it to sort through with your permission and use some bits? Because I thought it would be really cool to have. They did some great interviews with Tom and just use a bit of Tom, and nobody could come up with where it was, and I know they know where it's at. How do you think your life would be different if the show continued? Made you bet maybe you're better off now? I don't know, because no, well, I think Frank had the time of his life. Woody thought the world of it. I kind of hated the whole filming thing. I liked the part that I got to be in the mountains for 6 weeks, and they paid for it. That was the part I liked. I liked the part that they paid for the helicopter. I liked aspects of it. I wasn't big, and I liked the people we worked with and the production crew, but it wasn't my thing. I mean, let's put it this way. You like to go fishing, and you go fishing a lot, and you're really good at fishing, and you would really enjoy fishing, and it's something you look forward to all the time. It's kind of a thing. And now you get to go out with 15, 20 other people that don't really fish, but they're going to try to fish with you and hang around and fish. How's that go? Because it's usually pretty annoying. And so I made a promise to the guys. We were coming back from the Silver King, and we were in the truck, and I was very leaning to, I didn't want to do season 2. I'd had enough of the business, and I wanted to get back to just being in the mountains. I thought, because I wasn't even sure if they're going to put this TV show on the air. I was just kind of like over it. And we were driving back, and the agreement was in the truck, as I told Frank, Woody, Dalil, and Magnuson, was, if you guys all say you're in, I'm not going to be the reason nothing happens. So I said, I'm 110% in, as long as you guys say you want to continue. Because I'm not gonna like, you know, that was a big deal to them, and they were all 110% in, so I was in, and that's why I worked so hard and all this stuff developed, because it was mainly because I said I'll keep everything alive and I'll keep doing it. I don't want to be the spokesperson for the Lost Dutch Mine. I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be Tom Collenborn. I don't want to be Clay Wurst. I don't want to be that person when I'm older. I just want to be out in the mountains and do my thing. And it completely, because of the rendezvous, because of other things, it all just kept piling in. So I still had the rendezvous, and the Treasure Hunt of the Year awards was still going to come around, and I was going to end up involved in that, and the involvement I've had with the museum and the Dons, all that stuff was still going to happen. So it would have still been very, very similar to where I'm at. It just would have been, I would have had other minders and people, and it doesn't pay that much different. I made more money doing what I do than I would have off of them ever. They don't pay that well. If you have a job and they're paying you, you're making that much extra, and that's how people make money doing that. If that's all you're going to do is just waltz in once in a while and do that, and just, that they're not paying you. They're not paying you the kind of money they're paying Brad Pitt or George Clooney. None of that. There's nothing like that. I can show you contracts, and if people want to say differently, they can, but I know better. So my life would have been similar. I'm just more well known, so people will stop and notice me and stuff. But I'm as much noticed now for YouTube as the television show or the films. And so everything would have been pretty similar, I would think. Just did a reread of Subzili's book. Good. It's a good book. Any idea where I can find copies of Barry Storm's first book or Orrin Arnold? Orrin Arnold, look for Ghost Gold. That's pretty popular. You can usually find that. I'm actually looking into, and it was originally called Superstition Gold. I'm looking in, since it was a Dawns of Arizona publication by Orrin Arnold, who was a Dawn of Arizona. I'm looking at trying to convince the Dawn, since the 100th anniversary is coming up, of maybe doing a special printing of that book. Bob Schuess has copies of Thunder God's Gold. There's a number of different editions, but you can find paperback versions of that pretty cheap. They're pretty plentiful. Schuess did do a version. It doesn't have the notes of authenticity in it, but it has most everything else. If Trevor was in here, I would have him grab a couple of those. But there's several different editions and stuff on that. Okay, I think that would be great. I don't know. Not to get too heavy. Okay. Oh, thanks, Wayne. Yeah, okay. Have you ever filmed looking for the Estrella Mountain treasure? No. And actually, I spent a lot of time down there because I live out by the Estrellas. And Randy and I were supposed to make a couple trips. He never showed up. I don't think he ever went out there. But Randy and I were going to go out there and look. The Montezuma's head, and there was some other things he'd heard about he was really interested in. I'm very familiar with that area. It's, so I went out there. That was kind of my tune-up area. So there's a two soldiers mine out there. I think it's the French soldiers mine. Anyways, that's a silver mine. But anyways, yeah, very familiar with that area. A lot of stuff on it. And the Estrellas. So, and the petroglyphs, and that was part of Trapped into Rivas. And I'm surprised that I guess because I try to keep the videos, it became General Treasure Hunter, but it was always Superstitions when we were out in the field. I never thought of taking Trevor down and doing a bunch of filming there. It's like the White Tanks and other mountains around us and the Bradshaws, I never really think of expanding to those areas when I'm there. And what generally happens is when we're in those areas, we're just having fun, and I'm not thinking about filming or anything. It's funny when you take the equipment how little filming you can actually do if you're just having a good time and stuff. I used to play guitar for free. They just paid me to move gear. Okay, I used to play guitar for free. They just paid me to move gear. Okay, I don't know. I'm not catching that. Hi, very late. You're very late. When you get the true story about Blind Frog Ranch from Josh, I know the true story. I can figure the true story out from the edit. And there's a few things I won't mention that I kind of had some insight into, and I've talked to a couple other people privately about that I'm curious about, but this more of their personal stuff of what's going on there. But, there's lawsuits. There's been a problem with the partnership between Dwayne, I can't remember his last name suddenly, Dwayne and Chad Ollinger. It's not a very big place, the rights they have and stuff. But just watching the edit and watching the camera work and stuff, and I know the actual physical area and stuff. There's a couple people I know that know them, and I just kind of stayed out of it. I look forward to asking Josh about how much of it, and it would be more of a private conversation of just saying, hey, Josh, how much did it piss you off when they did this or that? Did you catch that? Because a lot of times, I know there's people that have watched Legend of the Superstition Mountains multiple times. I don't know if I've watched the whole thing twice. I know I didn't watch the last episode till probably several days after it aired because I was doing something else. But I've time and again tried to sit down and watch it and then kind of put it into perspective with what I know. One of the reasons I didn't watch it and closely and have always watched it is, one, it's annoying to hear yourself and see yourself because they change your audio. My voice is deeper than it is in the show. It's different. I remember what was going, the drama before and after things. And then all the pieces. So I can tell you from the beginning in January, February, when they contacted me till we finished filming just before the show's release, which almost encompasses a whole year, I can give you a timeline and sit here and talk for 5-6 hours about all kinds of details that if I watched it on TV, I have a feeling I would forget because I would start thinking in terms of what I see on TV, not in terms of what I lived. And they're two very different things. The show I filmed with them is very different than the show that you see. Because you got to think, we were out there 10, 12, 14 hours a day. Not much stuff happened. They didn't use much of the stuff we did at night. But you got to figure that's 5-6 days a week. And there's 2-3 cameras operating. There's multiple things going on. There is something, you literally could run 10 seasons of just extra footage. There's stuff that did not make the show that's just mind-boggling. But I understand they had 42 minutes they could air in an hour, and that 42 minutes, it's just bump, 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 bump. But there's stuff like when we first met up at the Quarter Circle U, the meet and greet between DeLille Magnuson and Woody and Frank, they had a big deal over that. None of that's there. Us working and cleaning guns and doing stuff in the Quarter Circle U bunkhouse, there was a bunch of footage of us always in there, hanging out, kicking back, doing stuff, cleaning guns, looking at maps, tons of stuff. There's hours of stuff that's just not there. That probably doesn't fit the show, but it was filmed like more documentary at times, and then what you see is snippets of those pieces, and then they reorganize them, and it's confusing to me because I'm like, that isn't right, because I can tell, even though you see me wearing, there's a blue and a gray undershirt, and then it's the blue overshirts. Well, I had 3 blue overshirts, and I had 2 blue and 2 gray undershirts, but all of them were slightly different, so I can watch and then see and cut scenes in the next scene and go, I'm wearing a different shirt. So they moved it from somewhere else. So that's really tough for me, because it messes with my mind as I'm trying to, it's like a false memory. And I believe if I sat around and watched the show a bunch, that would be my memory of the show, of that familiarity that backs it up, rather than what I got in my back of my head. For the next 6 months, we are on the same time again. My time never changes, so everybody joins me for 6 months. You can make a new show. Well, yeah, that was something we talked about. Was, I talked with a couple different production companies, and I had different versions and ideas and tried to see if anybody would catch it. The problem is the first show was done in what you call like almost a docudrama, or kind of a way that was very different. Remember, we were the sequel or the sister show to Oak Island. Oak Island came out, ran 5 episodes. We went and made our show after when they were making their second season. So we were patterned. We were Curse of the Superstitions. They were Curse of Oak Island. And there was a third show going to come up, which came out much later, that they ended up filming after we were done, called Curse of the Frozen Gold. And they were going to do a series of these shows, Curse of. And then when one show ended, like you get a week or two, and then the next one would come up. So during the year, you'd be seeing these different shows. Our problem was our show was so completely different than the others. They realized they didn't want a Western, and they ended up with kind of a John Wayne Western. It was a John Ford Western feel to it. And the guys with the cameras and everything, everybody did a great job capturing the mountains. And it's exactly what I remember it and the way I saw it, but we got way back in there in some places and got some great stuff. And that was kind of problematic because it doesn't fit with Oak Island. They're on a very small spot. I don't know how many acres, 140 acres, I don't know. But whatever, like you say, yeah, it's like 140 acres. They're on 140 acres. We're at 180,000. So there's such a huge difference. I mean, Oak Island drone doesn't even make sense there. Other than some camera shots. I mean, we're flying around in helicopters. So, two different things. Blind Frog Ranch, that's a funny one because when they go up in the plane or they do stuff like that, that's always funny to me because it's such a small spot. And that's kind of the success for multiple seasons is it's so much easier when you have controlled space. So Skinwalker Ranch, Oak Island, and Blind Frog Ranch all have one thing in common. They have some private property they can selectively shut down and they don't need permits and they can film in there. With us, there was permitting and a lot of other stuff. Now, there's also another big factor when you're looking at all these shows is it's much cheaper then because you're just basically saying, Dwayne Ollinger, here's some money for us to film on your property and here's some money to be part of the show and so much other. Here, Marty and whatever his name is. But anyways, the Glagina brothers, yeah, come on, we'll do this, okay? I think they own most of all of it now with Craig Tester. You're part of this, we'll pay you, okay. But it's all kept so in-house. With us, it was so much more expensive. I mean, just think, they pull in, they can just walk around all day. When you realize how, Rick of the, getting on the soapbox and tell you he doesn't tell stories. He's not a storyteller. He's not a good public speaker. I have a feeling that Rick always liked to lecture Marty when they were younger, just the way he talks. Well, he wants that big drama moment, and I'm always like, it's not there, dude. But, no, when you look at them in perspective, it's so completely different. They're different shows, and the way they have to approach it is so different and so much, they can move parts in and out and it's so much easier. Just us moving from Hewitt to the quarter circle U, it's taken half of the day to move everything to a different spot. Where with them, they just have things set up, they come in for their filming season and boom, they hit it. So it's so much easier. They're set up, people are staying there, they got trailers, they now have these little huts and stuff all over the place. They have such an advantage each season. For us, it's all the money's going into that, so it takes a lot more. Now, I will go back to point out Blind Frog Ranch probably does 3, 4, maybe 500,000. Probably 300,000 to 400,000 area of audience. Their audience is very, it's a completely different world, which people are always surprised about. Ghost Adventures, very low audiences. They just Expedition Truth or Unknown. All the Josh Gates stuff is 500,000-600,000, maybe in its heyday 700,000. We were doing 1.5 million, so it's completely different areas. So every time you're spending more money and you have a product that's reaching, it's more money involved. Remember, you got to spend money to make money. So it costs us a lot more. We have to be paid a lot more, and there's a lot more riding on it. It's a much bigger deal. So when you look at us, and Oak Island's still doing around 2 million, 2.5 million, which is a really good number for television. The days of 10, 15 million's gone, but for an episode of a show. But Skinwalker Ranch probably does something similar. They're in earlier time slots. We were in a later time slot, and we did really good for that time slot. That was one of the things that once I learned more about television, I was kind of a little miffed about, was they tried to make us feel like negotiating wise, yeah, it did pretty good. Okay, we were hitting a 10. I mean, there's shows on right now that do 3, 4, 500,000 viewers. They get a .10, and we were getting such better. We were double, tripling that kind of stuff. Our biggest audience in one live setting was at that late hour, because we were in the late slot, was over 2 million viewers. So, and then you got because I don't know if they still do it. They don't do it with Oak Island, but they used to run our show and then run a late show, and they do that with Oak Island. But then they used to run our show the night after again, and then once more during the week. So we ran 4 times in the week. So every show, if we pulled 1.5 million, we probably pulled another 500,000 to another 750,000 during the week. And then the American and Canadian versions were out, and then there was a slight delay, and then it went into Europe and Mexico and everywhere else. So it's crazy when you realize how many tens of millions of people watched us. And that kind of miffed me when I realized, man, there was a lot of numbers there. Someone made some money. If you could collaborate with any of these shows, which one I'd like to go out and not be on camera and just go out and walk and get the feel of the place. That's the only thing I said. I said Skinwalker Ranch. I know it's a very small place. It'd be cool just to walk around and kind of see what I feel from the place. Nobody talking in my ear. Oak Island, I don't have a lot of interest, because it's like, what happens? What hasn't people dug there, man? They're digging on diggings. It's kind of crazy what goes on there. I have a feeling that place is just too many people, too much stuff, too much is happening. They can't even gather where they're at anymore. And just every time they dig a hole, they're going to find wood, because literally there's been that many people digging over the last 100 years. I just like to see the historical side of it and just sit around with some of the guys. I know there's the guy Dan Henske. I know he's been there a long, long time. It'd be cool to meet someone like that and talk to him. But yeah, and Skinwalker to me would just be cool to go out there and hang out and then just say, hey, can I camp out can I pitch a tent and sleep out here for a couple nights? I don't think there's anything too much of it, but it would be just cool to be out there and just get the feel of it, to see, because I like that, being able to get the feel of something, to understand why people get uncomfortable and have that awkward, weird feeling with things. Because sometimes you can say, yeah, odd stuff happens, but it's pushed on by so much other things that happen. So Josh Gates is a cool dude, but then I heard a lot of stuff about him, because I kind of wanted to meet him. He's a big dude. And he's an archaeologist, so I think, but I don't know what he's like. People are different in person. Gary from Oak Island's awesome dude. He was fun. Me and Shoes had a great time with him, joking around and stuff. He's a really good down-to-earth guy, so I liked him a lot. And I kind of tried to ask him, what are the other guys like and stuff, and he was a little dodgy about it, so I got kind of like, he's happy that he has this. It helps with his business. Whatever that is, Drayton, whatever. But Gary was really cool, and really, he was really interested in asking questions. I was surprised about how much about, as far as metal detecting, like in the desert and stuff like that, for gold and things like that, that he didn't understand, that Shoes was explaining a lot of stuff to him. But he was a really cool dude. He had a run-in with Magnuson. He didn't like Magnuson. I had a feeling he wasn't going to like me at first, and then he kind of warmed up to me. But no, he was cool. But I get that feeling that a lot of these guys aren't very cool. And that also tells you the reason you got me doing what I do, and then you don't see any of these other guys do this stuff. So I think Brandon Fugel would be a cool dude to hang out and talk with. We butt heads on the supernatural hokey pokey crap, but I think he seems like a smart guy and a pretty cool guy. I think some of those guys do. I'm not sure about Travis, but some of the other guys seem like they'd be pretty cool to sit and talk to, and they got pretty open minds and understand, using the bark notes to search for LDM. But yeah, like I've heard things about Josh Gates, because I was always thinking, man, he should bring a show, and I think I pitched it to someone that worked with him, or the production company that sets up his shows, and I told them, I said, you don't have to have anything to do with me. Here's the material, the Spiral Staircase Mine and a bunch of other things. those people got that stuff. I told them, you don't have to use my stuff. You don't have to use me. You don't have to even contact me. You don't even have to send me a thank you card. Just be cool to see it on television and help it out. Because I believe, unlike other people's petty jealousies, is everything that goes out there benefits someone else later down the line. So there's someone's name I won't use, but there's a number of people. If you would have tried to be a positive light in all of it and not a con man and rode the coattails, you would have been more than welcome to be slung along and be successful in your own right, and we would have been more than happy to help you. But people are dirtbags, and they tried to undermine and do things that caused a lot of problems for a lot of people. And I was unapproachable because a lot of reasons, but I was connected to History Channel and A&E, and other people didn't have that connectivity, and I don't know what they felt by it, but it caused problems because someone else whispers in their ear. Everybody wants to be the star. I didn't ask to. I would have rather not. I would have rather it would have been Randy and then I was just the sidekick, which probably wouldn't have worked out that way, but I would have liked to have been the sidekick and stuff and just got my little bit of time and people don't remember me. Yeah, I would have been fine with that. There's a couple people I know that would always say, if they pay you, then they pay you. You know, who gives a crap? Oak Island is not a total mess. Now, I think the treasure hunt's a mess. The TV show is pure genius because it is the same exact show every week. They literally can show you the same thing. We're going to push a hole. We're going to find wood. We're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to go down. We're going to go in. We're going to analyze this piece of metal. They're going to do the same freaking thing. And I watch it every week because I love the fact they are on repeat constantly. And that show does not change. That is absolutely the same show week in, week out, almost down to, you can almost plot it out. I could literally plot it out. We're going to open, we're going to do this, and meanwhile back here. And it's funny because sometimes it's the person from the scene before is walking into the next scene. And the reason they're carrying their hard hat is someone had to throw it to them and say, hey, you got to carry this with you. But literally we're just going to show up, and towards the end, the last 5-10 minutes, we got to have Rick sit there and pause and everybody look thoughtfully. And you can tell those guys are bored shitless as he goes into that narrative that he's going to talk about and what we need to do. And I think what we need to do in our hearts and souls and our minds moving forward is we need to bring the fellowship to the treasure, and and he just goes through that, and you can just look at everybody just die because they're doing that 8, 9, 10 times before they get it down. But they have a formula, so you can say I'm making fun of it, you can laugh at it right now, you could be miffed about it. It is absolute science, and they have that down, and 2.5 million people will watch it again. I mean, literally, I wonder if Oak Island could literally take a show from several seasons ago and then not really change anything and just run it like it's a new show, and if anybody would catch it. It's literally like, we're going to put another pipe in the ground. Here's some more wood. Look at the wood. Spread it out. What depth is this? Blah, 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 blah. Here, we're metal detecting. Hey, Gary's going to show up here and go around these little flags that we predetermined. What's the hell's with that? They're going to remember they used to break it up. They get out on the boat, they dive, they did other things, but they used to send divers down the tubes. It has literally been for several seasons the same thing. And then once in a while, I'm no sidekick. It'd be fun to be a sidekick. But it would be so fun just to see what you can do to the audience with that stuff, because they don't change that show up. But I watch it. I'll watch Skinwalker. I'll watch Blind Fire. I'll watch all that stuff because I'm going to be supportive of it. I'll watch Josh Gates, even if it's a werewolf, because I will be trying to be supportive because it still opens up doors for other people. If not myself is making anything off of it, someone else. I always wonder what damage might the treasure from... Well, if you just basically use common sense. You got that big old grabber and everything going in there. What do you think is going to happen every time? It's going to come down, slam, it's pushing the ground down, and it's anything that's open or below, it's going to be just popping it open and dropping everything. And you're going to smash everything and destroy everything and push it aside. It's not like your hand reaching in a pile of dirt and pull something out. It is, look at the timbers. It's just splitting and destroying them. So, yes. So, if you were really worried about that stuff, you'd have a much better approach. So, there you go. Was good catching another live. Yeah, it's about time to wrap it up because the pizza's on its way. And I will let everybody know what's up for tomorrow because we're kind of suspended in kind of not sure. Everything, far as I know, is go, but I don't know what's happening. So, like I said, the awards are sitting there. I have everything set, ready to go. And then I was given a hold on a minute. And I'm waiting to see what that hold on a minute could possibly mean when I get word and get fully understand of what could be changed or what's happening. I will post it out. I will post it on Facebook. We'll probably shoot a quick video and then post it on Facebook and everywhere and try to get social media and then text the people I can. Let everybody go. So thank you, everybody. Yeah, thank you guys for letting me know because we've been talking enough. But good talk, good times. My pizza will be here soon. And then I got a grocery pickup. And then I got to see what's happening for tomorrow night. So keep up. Definitely check our posts between now and tomorrow to see what's going on. If there is an all clear, all's good, no drama, and no problem, I will post for something for that. That, everything's A-okay and see everybody tomorrow and everything else. So, story. Thanks for streaming and doing your weekly story time too. Oh, no problem. No, I like doing that. That's the funnest thing because I learned something. Because I'm now I play the guitars all the time, every day. I'm pulling out new stories every week and everything. In fact, right now I'm working on some stuff for the Dons, some historical context stuff. So I'm going through 95 years of some archival stuff, putting some stuff together for some processes. So one of my favorite things to do. Trevor says we can't really film what you do and what you really enjoy because it'd be so damn boring for people to watch you just sit there and be pouring through papers and making notes and setting things around and then trying to consolidate and put something to, too boring. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to get my mouse here because my mouse is my way to exit. I will do one last drink to Bob Ward. Anybody else? And hope that everything goes well. And I see everybody tomorrow night. And it'd be cool. If everything goes off. So stay tuned. And we will get back to you. But until then, everybody have a great weekend. Everybody catch Monday's Chasing Legends. And the daily This Day in the Superstitions. And we will catch you again the next time. I already did the Bob Ward. Cheers.